Well, howdy, y'all. Rüdrani Devi, the happiness lady. That's right. I wrote this little yellow book called Choosing Happiness, an uncommon way to find joy in your life, chocked full of access consciousness tools. Um, yeah. So I want to share this tool with you today, um, as I share a new tool every Monday called Living in 10-second increments. And what does that even mean? Right? Um, hmm, could be, you know, being mindful. Um, It could be living in the moment. It could be walls and barriers down, expanding out, including everything, excluding nothing, and including judgment and interesting points of view. But I'm going to start out. I don't know if you have the book. If you want to pull it out and read along with me, you can. But I'd like to just start at the beginning of the chapter and then take it from there. Because a lot of people are like, what is living in 10-second increments anyway? That doesn't make no sense. So this would be chapter 6 in the little yellow book. That would be page 41 if you're reading it in English, which I will be reading it in English. It does speak several languages, I'm delighted to say. So here we go. This reality is so funny to me. No wonder I'm laughing all the time. True story. It's just, I find it very funny what people choose, this reality. It's like God gave us all the one thing we don't desire, and that is free will. Which in my understanding is ability to choose anything, whether it makes sense to anyone else or not. For example, I know that I make a lot of choices that logically don't make sense to a lot of people, and it's very cute how a lot of people like to point that out to me. But I follow my knowing, I follow the energy, and we've talked about that as well. So it brings me back to an earlier question I posted in this book. To me when I was much younger and allowed myself more free will. And this was the question: why are you so freaking happy? And I would always say, because I choose to be. It made more sense than choosing not to be happy. It didn't matter that no one else got it. It didn't matter some people had the point of view that I must be delusional or on drugs to be this free in my expression of exuberance, y'all. Oh, well. I suppose in their interesting point of view, we'll put it in quotes, they didn't really have free will to choose something different. Because if you don't believe that you can out-choose where you are, you're not even going to ask the question. True story. You're not going to say things like, and we've done these tools, how does it get any better than this? Or what else is possible now? Because you've chosen your lot in life. This is as far as you can go, and you can't choose beyond your raisins. We say that in the South. Can't choose beyond your raisins. That just wouldn't be right. You got to stay right where you is. Okay, so that's where the next tool I'm going to share with you comes in. Some may call this, as I said before, living in the proverbial now. Access consciousness calls it living in 10-second increments. What if you realize that you can choose things other people choose not to choose? That's an interesting sentence, isn't it? I'm going to read it again. It even threw me. What if you realize that you can choose things other people choose not to choose? Like happiness, maybe. Maybe their interesting point of view is they don't have the capacity or the right to choose because of their responsibilities or their religion or other things like that, family matters. So they don't choose. It's almost like they are waiting to deserve it to choose it. Once I do this, then this. I've got to do all these other things first. How do you create a life if you surmised you can't choose for one reason or another? Interesting choice to not choose something different. Interesting point of view. They have that point of view, which is a tool we used earlier. You can Google in the YouTube and find it if you need a reference point. What if living in 10-second increments puts you in the energy and space of always creating your life? What could that look like? Something doesn't work in this 10 seconds for you, you can always choose again and again and again and again until it does work for you. You can, you've been there before. You've chose one thing and you're like, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't like this. So you choose something else. What if your whole life could be like that? And then maybe in a week, it stops working for you. But guess what? You have the free will to choose again. How cool is that? Instead, what I see people living from, let me phrase that correctly, their projections and expectations, destroying the possibilities they could be choosing if they were living in 10-second increments. Yeah, so what are projections and expectations? It's when you have this presumptive reality, and so you project what you surmise it's supposed to look like, and then you have expectations about that. And you ever notice the thing about expectations is, especially when you have them on outside sources, you expect something from a lover or from a family member, and oh my goddess, that's like shooting yourself in the foot, y'all. Because, we all have these different points of view about how things are supposed to look. So what we do is we destroy these possibilities we could be creating by continually choosing in 10-second increments. And it starts with a question, what can I choose here that would create greater for me today? Or what could I choose to outcreate? It's like that. In the foundation, which I don't know if you guys are aware, access bars is like the first modality you can learn in access, and it's the prerequisite to the foundation class. And the reason why I say this is because the foundation class in access is about breaking apart the foundation that you have been impelled with, that this reality has told you you've got to do this, 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 and this to achieve that, this, that, and this. And what if that wasn't true for you? What if you could just say, okay, if I chose this, what would it create for my life? I'm choosing in 10-second increments. This is how we phrase it in Access Consciousness when we're doing the foundation class. And we're talking about the 10 keys of total freedom, this is one of those tools, choosing in 10-second increments. So it's like, okay, you've got 10 seconds, easy for me to say, to live the rest of your life. What are you going to choose? You did. I even have a tickety talk. I was like, you got 10 seconds. What are you going to choose? And then this little clock is going, tick, 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 tick. You did. And all of a sudden this big bomb, okay. Yeah, I know I'm silly, but I thought it was funny because what if you could live your entire life like that? Then you wouldn't place so much significance on whether it made other people happy or, whether it worked for others, because that's kind of what we do in this reality. What if you were just choosing for you? Play along with me. Okay, so you've got 10 seconds to live the rest of your life. What would you choose? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it would be, a nice greasy cheeseburger. I don't even know why that came to mind. Maybe, okay, so that 10 seconds is gone. You get another 10 seconds. What are you going to choose? Maybe it's floating on my back in the ocean. That's pretty amazing. You've got 10 seconds to choose. Maybe it's you watching your firstborn, laughing, going back in time, or whatever it is. Maybe it's standing out in the rain. Maybe it's, taking a walk in a beautiful forest. Maybe it's listening to the birds. I don't know, feel me. So I'd like to give you all an assignment. I gave this to one of my classes once, and it really did bring a lot of awareness to the surface about how much we live in these presumptive realities and need for reactive realities, which is basically, you're mapping out all the things you're going to do so you're not in the present moment because you've presumed it's got to show up this way or whatever. So what I had everybody do is sit down, and I basically set a timer for 10 seconds, and then I would hit repeat. And I'm like, okay, you got 10 seconds to live. What would you choose? And they wrote it down. And then, the timer would go off. I said, okay, you got 10 more seconds. What's it going to be? And we did this, until everybody kind of started laughing, because it was almost as if this is what I found very interesting. People ran out of things to choose. And it showed me how limited we are in our choices. It's like if you only had if you could only choose chocolate and vanilla or strawberry. And then one day somebody says, you know what, you can actually choose pistachio or rocky road or, whatever that cookie dough one is. For me, at least in this in 10 seconds, I would definitely not choose the raw cookie dough. It's too sweet. I might choose pistachio or French vanilla. I know. Anyway, I digress. So why don't you play this little game with yourself or with your family members or your partner or whatever it is, where you have, and I like to tell people to write it down, but if you'd rather, put it in your notes, that's fine too. And then it might be kind of cute. You've got it in your notes and you'll go back and take a look at it. But notice what it is that you've chosen. And then give yourself a week to live this way in 10-second increments. Then go back to your choices. Maybe you only did like 6 times, so 10-second increments. It's not asking for a whole minute of your life. Anyway, I digress. Do it as long as you like or as little as you like. But come back a week later. See if you would actually create those same choices. You guessed it. Do this for another week. I imagine that by the end of, 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to be more of this free-flowing, walking, talking meditation, living in the moment, not placing so much significance or trying to plan out your life. You've heard the joke, tell God your plans. Tell God your plans, y'all. See how far that gets you. Just saying. So, yeah, you've got 10 seconds to live the rest of your life. What would you choose? Be in that space for a moment. Maybe it's just lying down in the grass and feeling the wind across your face. It's just choice. So I just want to share this little tool with you. And notice if it doesn't give you more freedom. I was actually going to that space of what would my life be like if I could be that space? So it's Memorial Day weekend and I've got my family here and it's so funny. We'll be having a meal and they're already talking about planning out the next meal. My mom already had it in her head, on when they come in on Friday, we're going to do this. And then when we go do this Saturday, it's going to be this. And then on Sunday, we're going to do this. And it was like, somebody gave me a coupon. So we're going to go here for lunch, but for dinner, I'm going to make this pasta sauce because I found in the freezer. It was just the funniest thing. And I thought, what a boring existence. Sorry, Mom. What a boring existence to be constantly living your life from one meal to the next. I mean, I guess if you're training for a marathon, you're doing whatever. I'm being a little facetious. If that works for you, please choose that. What I'm saying, I just remember Gary Douglas saying once, he's the founder of Access Consciousness, it's his fault I'm even talking to you. And I'll end with this piece, but it was really funny. He was talking about how he was in Florida and there were these ladies having lunch and they were talking about where they were going to go for dinner. And I remember my dad doing that. We would be at lunch and he would be telling us that he was thawing something for dinner. And I never really thought much of it. But I don't want to live the rest of my existence worrying about what my next meal is going to be. So, and what if it was a toss-up? I mean, last night I had in my head I was going to have something and then somebody suggested something else and I went with that. It ended up being fabulously delicious. So, I don't know. I'm making it about food, which is so weird, but maybe I'm plagiarizing the energies that have been in my house for the last 3 or 4 days. Anyway, happy Memorial Day if those of you actually watch this video today. And let me know if you do this assignment. I'd be very curious as to your results. You can find me on Facebook. You can messenger me because I know that's kind of a bigger deal than trying to leave your notes on YouTube. Or, do leave your comments there. If you know of someone that could have benefited from my conversation with myself, and to those of you watching now or in the future, thank you. Let me know how it goes for you and share with others you think it could have been a contribution to. And if you'd like to know when I go live on a regular basis, I do these tools every Monday and I do a meditation every Wednesday, energy pools. So subscribe, hit the subscribe button and that will get you that. All right. So What would it be like if you lived every 10 seconds? What could that create for your life and your living? I wonder. Play with that tool. And until next time, y'all. Happiness Lady is signing off. Ciao, ciao for now.